Hello everyone, this is Big Boss Calvin 83. I want to talk about false rape accusations and how women can do whatever they can, do whatever they want to do, and never be held accountable for it. So I got these two video clips I'm going to play, and then I'm going to give my commentary afterward.
Well, this was the culmination of an 8-day trial where these two footballers were in the dock facing this charge of rape. Now, Ched Evans was described as a young 23-year-old player with a lot of promise. He was having a glittering career at Sheffield United. He played for his country, Wales. But the judge told him that his career was now over as he sentenced him to 5 years after the jury here found him guilty of rape. Now, I was sitting about a metre away from him in the dock, and his head just fell in his hands, and he started sobbing as the judge started reading out the sentence against him. Now, alongside him in the dock was his friend Clayton McDonald, Port Vale player. Now, he had earlier been cleared of rape, much to the relief of the friends and family who'd been in the dock. This was a pair of footballers who were facing this charge after a night out in May 2011 in Rhyl in Denbighshire in Wales, where they met a 19-year-old woman who the court heard was so drunk that she could hardly walk. Now, the prosecution said that the pair took this girl back to a hotel and that they both raped her, and that was the charge that they were both facing. The jury clearly didn't think that McDonald did, but finding Clayton, Ched Evans guilty, they clearly did think. And the judge said to him he was a promising player who he didn't think went out that night to commit rape, but went out to find a young woman to have sex with. And passing sentence on him, he said he will spend 5 years in prison, and he will likely be out in about 2.5 on licence, but clearly the end of this young man's career.
That's right. That's right. I mean, his career is over. But anyway, she was too drunk to even walk out in public. So basically, what they're saying is she's not accountable for her actions. What person do you know? Now, let's say this. She was too drunk to walk out in public, but nobody noticed anything wrong with her walking out overtly intoxicated. Now, if you saw a man, now if this was a man who was too drunk to walk out in public, somebody would notice and he would be arrested for a public intoxication. Or if he got behind a car and started driving, he would get a DUI. If God forbid, if he was got an accident or he injured himself and injured somebody else, or killed himself and killed somebody else, he would be held responsible harshly. And he would be at fault for drinking too much and being overtly intoxicated and socially irresponsible for his conduct. But we got a female, who can walk out in public, and they may slap the cuffs on her, but at the end of the day, she will get a slap on the wrist, even if she got behind the wheel of her car and got pulled over for a DUI. Or if she got in a car where she injured herself, killed herself, and injured somebody else or killed somebody else, she would be liable, but she'll still get a slap on the hand because she'll cry about how she was abused as a child, she was molested, she was raped, she didn't have a father figure in the home, or the dad was abusive, and there'll be some kind of excuse for her behavior. So what we see right here is women never being accountable for their actions. Women want more rights, more liberties, and special privileges, but they do not want the responsibility of what comes with it. if the how can she be too drunk to walk with a guy? And trust me, this guy is a football player overseas. Not American football, but a soccer player. So he probably have some fame. You understand? He has some fame. Why would he want to go out and rape somebody if he got bitches all over him all the time? That does not make any sense. It's like almost 10 years ago with Kobe Bryant. When Kobe Bryant was falsely accused of rape. You know, and the bitch but the bitch passed it was around midnight. She walked in, it was past 10 o'clock. So anything that happened past 10 o'clock is a booty call. So she goes into his room and have consensual sex. And guess what? She was proud. She was fucking other dudes. Being a promiscuous, nasty slut. And for Kobe Bryant to fuck a girl, to fuck a woman who was already sexually active, he could have ended his career because he could have caught a virus, or he could have caught an STD, he could have caught AIDS, HIV. But besides the point, she willingly went in this guy's hotel room and had sex with him and then tried to cry rape so she can get a big fucking settlement. And women are allowed to do this in Western society. You couldn't do this shit you couldn't do this shit in the Far East, the Middle East. You couldn't do that bullshit. They're not having it over there. Because, I mean, at least over there they hold women accountable. Despite women having limited rights, but actually I would say they're more equal, more fair overseas in non-Western societies. Because women are accountable. But to not get off too sidetracked off the subject. So she was too drunk to walk. Now that's a problem. How can nobody noticed? And then she walked into these two gentlemen's hotel room and had sex with them willingly, knowing that she was too drunk to do anything. No resistance. She went in that She went to the room, that hotel room, with those two gentlemen, and willingly had sex with them. And really had sex with Chad Evans. She knew what she was doing. And then all of a sudden, now since she can't keep him, can't hook Chad with the pussy, now she wants to cry rape because she don't want to be viewed as a fucking slut or a guy, or be viewed. Basically she don't want to be viewed as a fucking slut. It's too late for that. She should have thought about that before she decided to get drunk in public and act a fool. So basically, to cover her tracks, and because she felt dirty, and she didn't want to be ran through, she didn't want that on her conscience. Now she want to cry rape, and also because she's on her pedestal. And this is what I'm talking about. Men need to start warning younger men, boys who are about to come of age, about these bitches, about these women out here. If the women can warn these women, their daughters, their nieces, their younger female relatives about no good men, how come men cannot warn women about toxic women? Can't warn these boys about toxic women and what the fuck they can do to you? No, because we're not allowed to talk about that. Number one, most guys are coming out of single parent family homes, raised by the single mother, who don't give a shit about them. Two, if a man does try to educate young boys who are becoming men about toxic women, guess what? The guy who's being the mentor is called a woman hater. It's called sexist. It's called a bitter ass man. I'm like, fuck that. If I have to be a bitter man to save a bunch of young men from getting their lives destroyed by these bitches like you, who you women do not check. the National Organization of Women, these women's groups are not checking these hoes who make it hard for them. You got these women most of the time cry rape when it didn't happen. Now when a woman who's actually a victim of rape, nobody believes her. Now you got this mess, but the women don't care because they care about their fucking pedestal. Anyway, like I said before, she willingly had sex with Chad Evans. This bitch willingly had sex with Chad Evans. She knew what she was getting into. She's trying to because women get a power trip to destroy another man's life, and not only that, she's trying to get money out of him. That's all that comes down to. Because she's too lazy to fucking get a fucking job and support herself. But she want to call herself strong and independent. Fuck out of my face with that bullshit. Now, here's this article. And this is the saddest one of all. Teens' NFL dreams came to a halt by a fake rape claim. Women confess 10 years later. Let's watch this video.
Tonight, a 26-year-old who once had a full scholarship to USC and dreams of the NFL is fighting to clear his name. Tonight, a 26-year-old who once had a full scholarship to USC and dreams of the NFL is fighting to clear his name. His football dreams all ended inside a small jail cell, convicted of raping a classmate when he was just 16. Tonight, CBS 2's Randy Page reveals disturbing new evidence, which has some legal experts wondering if the rape ever happened at all.
It didn't.
For Brian Banks, this beach offers more than a wave of childhood memories.
I live not too far from here.
It is also a brief diversion from his life as a registered sex offender.
I'm still aware of how far I still have to go, towards getting my life back.
He's talking about the life he had at 16.
Long Beach Poly says they have it!
A star middle linebacker at Long Beach Polytechnic High School with a full ride scholarship waiting for him at USC.
I felt like I was on top of the world.
Then came the fall.
Nigga moment.
It's almost hard to put in words of how one day could turn so fast.
In a recent court filing, Banks says it was just before lunchtime. The sophomore football star and a girl he knew decided to duck into an empty stairwell where they could have some privacy.
We began making out. We didn't have sex.
He says a few minutes later, after some heavy petting, the two went back to class. Later that day, he noticed a lot of police, and then he says he saw the girl come out of the office, empty stairwell where they could have some privacy.
We began making out. We didn't have sex.
He says a few minutes later, after some heavy petting, the two went back to class. Later that day, he noticed a lot of police, and then he says he saw the girl come out of the office with police officers.
It's probably the most surprised I've ever been, that feeling of your heart jumping out of your body.
Brian Banks had never been in trouble with the law before, but on this July day in 2001, he was under arrest for rape.
The word rape wasn't even in my vocabulary at 16.
The DA offered him a deal: plead guilty to rape and spend another 18 months in prison or go to trial and face...
Okay, I want to stop it right here. When you're innocent and been accused of something you didn't do, you maintain innocence. But regardless of whatever they offer you, if you know you're innocent, you maintain innocence. You reject it and say, hey, regardless of what happens, you maintain your innocence. You don't take no deal, no plea bargain, no pleading to a lesser charge. When you're innocent, you stay innocent. You fight to defend yourself and defend your honor of innocence. This is what happens when you don't know, when we're not, see, this is what happens when men, young men, do not learn the system. Especially men of color. Do not pay attention and learn their laws and learn their rights of what they can and can't do and what the rights are. You don't take, because these criminals, yes, I call the law enforcement criminals, will do anything to put you in jail and get free labor out of you, and you will get, and see, he's accused of rape. But guess what? This bitch who lied on him, he said nothing sexual happened. There was just some petting, heavy petting, and that was it. But she wants to lie and say he had sex with me because her reputation, to protect her reputation of being a slut and an attention whore. So the lesson is, if you're ever accused of something, you stand your ground and maintain your innocence. Don't accept anything from these criminals. Don't let them intimidate you. You make sure you get a lawyer if you can. You plead the fifth. You do whatever. You gotta learn your rights. You gotta learn the laws. This is why this is important. I mean, it seems like with men at that age, at the age of 16, that was a miserable time for me, by the way. It's like you're taught to focus on sports. It's like you're 16. I remember when I was 16. What did we all want to do? We wanted to focus on sports, have fun, spend time with our friends, get our driver's license, get a car, and live life, and get ready for college. That's what 16 was like. This is what most 16-year-olds be thinking. Not thinking about committing rape and all this crap, but these girls learn early. They're taught by these feminists that they already know that they can destroy your life based on a lie. And that's what a lot of younger men don't understand. See, men are told not to lie. We're told not all men, but most of us are told not to lie. Tell the truth. But women are not told the same thing. They're told that to blame a man for everything. And that men are evil. But y'all bitches keep fucking with guys who are evil. And hell, you're raising these boys. Anyway, I'm going to put a rest.
41 years to life. He says his defense attorney put it that day in 2001 he was under arrest for rape.
The word rape wasn't even in my vocabulary at 16.
The DA offered him a deal: plead guilty to rape and spend another 18 months in prison, or go to trial and face 41 years to life. He says his defense attorney put it this way:
when you go into that courtroom, the jury is going to see a big black teenager, and you're automatically going to be assumed guilty.
To life. He says his defense attorney put it this way:
when you go into that courtroom, the jury is going to see a big black teenager, and you're automatically going to be assumed guilty.
To life. He says his defense attorney put it this way:
when you go into that courtroom, the jury is going to see a big black teenager, and you're automatically going to be assumed guilty. Those are her exact words.
The terrified teen wanted to speak to his mother. He was
courtroom, the jury is going to see a big black teenager, and you're automatically going to be assumed guilty.
And face 41 years to life. He says his defense attorney put it this way:
when you go into that courtroom, the jury is going to see a big black teenager, and you're automatically going to be assumed guilty. Those are her exact words.
And I believe that. I had to stop it right there. That's right. What does that tell us about our society? It's still racism, and there's still racism, and it's still man-hating misandry. And if you're non-Caucasian, if you're a non-Caucasian male, you're considered guilty. You're considered to be a thug, a criminal, based on how you look. And all these people want to talk about racism doesn't exist, and y'all full of shit, because what do they say? What do they tell them? When you go into that courtroom, you're going to see a big black male teenager who's portrayed as a fucking rapist, and portrayed as a fucking thug, and a fucking drug dealer, and a bank robber. So all these people who are racist, I guess, when I see Caucasian men, get caught, to catch the predator, I guess I should hide my children away from a single white Caucasian male. And anytime I see a Caucasian male, I should be assumed that he's a sexual predator. See, that would not be right to generalize. And I want to debunk something else. Most bank robbers ain't black. Who commits think about it. who they want to talk about, want to portray young black men as selling drugs, but where did the drugs come from? It comes from non-blacks commit more drug offenses. I didn't say just Caucasians. I'm talking about other groups who are not so-called black. And who commits the majority of the bank robberies? Non-blacks. But we get the worst stereotypes because for some reason, when these other groups commit these crimes, the stereotypes don't stick. Like I was talking about just a few minutes ago about Caucasian men being sexual predators. That one, you see how social conditioning has conditioned us to think a certain way, and instead of just looking at the facts, why does a person have to worry about their looks to decide their faith, and rather they're going to live or die? It's like, why do I have to worry about the way I look to determine my faith and how far I will get in life? This is what I'm talking about. This is why we need to. This is why a lot of you people who've been talking with me. Well, why do I focus on the race? Well, I've been focusing on race lately because of stuff like this. Even though I know he's a man, and you can say, well, a black girl told on him. It's not a white girl. You don't understand. As a woman, see, a woman can lie on a man anytime, but fuck what her color is. A woman anytime can lie on a man, say he raped her, or he touched her, he harassed her, and he didn't do it. But the reason why I say I would use race as a factor is because black men have the worst stereotypes because of these black exploitation movies and the way the news and the media portrays us in a negative light. Now would you see when I go into the store or go somewhere, I have to worry about if I'm going to get like a Trayvon Martin situation. I had to worry about. I had a girl, in high school try to lie on me and say I committed statutory rape, and then it didn't happen. Just because I stood up for myself, she insulted me. I assaulted her back, and I said something about her weight, even though she called me fat first. So she's gonna dig in my past and try to get some bullshit on me. And it was a black female sucking up to her Caucasian slave master. And she even threatened, well, I'm going to say, I heard you do this and that. I'm like, well, you were doing this with that girl. You were sleeping with an underage girl, and I didn't have sex. The thing is, I didn't have sex. We talked, but I'm not going to go into it. But the thing is, it seems like these women, it seems like you're a man. It's bad enough you're a man, but when you are a man of color, you're going to be a target by the criminal injustice system, by the crooked law enforcement. In this racist, misandrist society, that's what you got to worry about. You go to the store, they think you're going to steal something. You get stopped by the police, you get pulled over, and it's like you guys act like I'm causing division by speaking out. I'm telling you why the way you got to end division, it's like you got to address the ugly truth. People who I talk to already know who they are. And I just can't say enough about this. I'm going to play the rest of the clip.
A terrified teen wanted to speak to his mother. He was told, no time. You've got 10 minutes to decide.
And that's breaking the law right there. You have every right to contact your family member. See, his rights are already violated already.
I sat there and I cried and I asked questions and I asked why and I cried and 18 months sounded way better than 41 years to life.
And you never take a plea bargain. If you're innocent, you're truly innocent, you don't take that.
Brian Banks pleaded no contest to rape. A judge sentenced him to 6 years in state prison.
where was the physical evidence here that would prove that he was guilty?
Brian's new attorney, California Innocence Project Director Justin Brooks, says hospital records showed the alleged victim told authorities Brian left his DNA evidence inside her. Yet, according to lab results, not a single molecule of his DNA was recovered from the victim or her clothing.
So Brian's story is the only one that makes sense.
Exactly. Before you even watch how this bitch is going to expose herself. But I mean, where are the MRAs? I mean, where are the men's rights activism? Where's these men's rights activists fighting for this guy's case and Chad Evans' case? I mean, you see how, I mean, there's no evidence of rape, and they know that, but these prosecutors and these greedy cops and these judges want to put a young man in jail, put a young black man in jail, and make an example out of him. It's about raises and promotions. That's all they care about. They don't care about the fucking truth. And they feel like this because of his skin color and he's a man, don't take advantage of him. That's what happened. And watch how this bitch tells on herself.
Turns out, Brian Banks isn't the only one saying he is innocent.
Did he force you to have intercourse or anything like that?
No.
His alleged victim was caught on tape saying he's innocent too.
Did he rape you?
No.
Last year, 9 years after his conviction, Brian says he received a friend request on Facebook from the girl who accused him of the violent rape.
I remember closing the laptop just like real quick and just like thinking like, what did I just see?
Brian Banks says he asked his accuser to meet him at a private investigator's office to tell her version of what happened that day, and to his astonishment, she showed up.
Did he force you to have intercourse or anything like that?
No.
She said at 15 and 16 years old, the two were young, inexperienced, and curious.
So it's just like a petty thing. You guys are kissing and making out pretty heavily.
Yeah.
Throughout the interview, she says the rape never happened.
Did he rape you?
No, he did not rape.
Did he kidnap you?
No.
If she is telling the truth here, she could stand to lose, by her own words, a lot of money.
The actual last settlement was $1.5 million.
She's talking about the $1.5 million she says the Long Beach Unified School District paid after her mother sued the district for lack of security at the time of the alleged rape.
I mean, I will go through with helping you, but it's like at the same time, all that money they gave me, I don't want to have to pay it back. All that, because that was paid.
You see how selfish this bitch is? She destroys another man's life for a fucking check, for a fucking fake ass $1.5 million. That's not real. It's not even real money, for counterfeit money. She's willing to destroy another man's life so she can get a fucking check. Money that she did not earn. Money that she did not achieve. Money that she did not work for. She's going to help you, but I want to keep the money. You know how selfish y'all bitches are? And it just proves my point, and you wonder why there's man haters. I mean, there's woman haters. Y'all man hating bitches are fucking hypocrites. You wanna cry misogyny? You wanna cry misogyny and cause men being women haters, and you wonder why men don't have no respect for women? It's because of bitches like this. You don't check bitches like this. You don't check them. All you women's feminists crying for more rights. Y'all need to check on these bitches who make it hard for real women who are actually victims of rape and victims of violence. But the thing is, this is how you create your own killer, right there. This is one of the most smart, successful ways how she's going to create her own killer. And I hope it does bite her in the ass. She needs to, for the 10 years this young man has served, she needs to serve double. So this shit can stop. This is what happens when men are too focused on getting pussy. Oh, just find the right girl, and you just find the right girl, and you don't have to worry about all that shit. Just find the right. There's no such thing as the right girl. There is no such thing as the right girl. They are raised. They are made. They have to be raised to be the right girl. A lot of these women ain't raised right. And then you got men who are raised to be bitch-ass, pussy-whipped male slaves, Captain Save-A-Hoes. Don't check a woman. And a woman The reason why a woman has an attitude is because of some man did. It's the man's fault. And all this dumb shit that y'all women tell your boys, tell your sons, your nephews. This dumbass Najana shit. I mean, selfish. I care about the money more than a human life. Bitch, fuck you. I mean, stuff like this really gets my blood boiling. Stuff like this just gets me so mad. A fucking gold digger. I don't want to do the right thing because I don't want to lose all that money that I stole. You stole that money. You and your mother stole that money.
At the time of the alleged rape.
I mean, I will go through with helping you, but it's like at the same time, all that money they gave me, right. I don't want to have to pay it back, all that, because that will take a long time.
We were unable to locate the whereabouts of Brian Banks' accuser. Randy Page with CBS 2 News. Anybody home? But we did track her down by telephone, and she told us she was raped and that she lied in this interview because she claims Brian Banks offered her a $10,000 bribe. Banks says this latest accusation doesn't make sense, that he has $1 and some change left to his name.
The video is disgusting. It gives you goosebumps to see someone who took someone's life over a lie.
The district attorney's office is declining an on-camera interview, saying its policy is to not make any comments on cases that are under review. But a former deputy district attorney is willing to offer his assessment of the case against Brian Banks.
I wouldn't have filed a charge. I would have rejected it.
Steve Meister is a former LA County sex crimes prosecutor who worked in the same office that prosecuted Brian Banks.
To me, it goes back to the DNA evidence and her inconsistent statements about what happened. DA never should have filed this case, and they should drop it now.
For Brian Banks, life as a sex offender is like living in a cell made of glass. You can see the world outside, but it's always just out of reach.
The idea that people see me as something that I'm not, you know? I just want this to be over, you know?
When you were 16, you knew what your dreams were. You had a free ride at USC. You had a possible pro career ahead of you. What are your dreams today?
To be free.
In Long Beach, Randy Page, CBS 2 News.
As a result of the new information, the California Innocence Project has filed a petition to try and exonerate Brian, and they're due in court next month. As for the Long Beach Unified School District, where this all happened, no one, not even the superintendent, would go on camera to talk about the case.
And especially the last one I just read and played you that video clip, that gotta be one of the most disgusting, sick, evil, inhumane articles I have ever read. And the fact that I noticed. I mean, have you noticed that more girls, you know, it's like the fault. Women, especially younger women, is crying false rape accusations, and it's like it's getting earlier and earlier. You notice that the ages of these women are getting younger and younger, and you notice that a lot of men are at the ages of getting younger and younger are getting in trouble and being the victim of false accusations of rape, harassment, assault, battery, you name it. It's like, I know that men are being targets, but I mean, I'm disturbed that even as a teenager, these girls are making these false accusations of rape, and I'm like, and when I'm at a loss of words. I mean, it's getting younger and younger. It's just starting off younger. That's what I noticed. And I'm just appalled by this, and that society, and then that society turns a blind eye to it. A lot of you pussy with males keep talking about find the right girl. All you gotta do is treat her right. And I'm like, fuck that. Treat them right. How about they treat us right? How about this? We'll treat you women right when you treat us right. I think that's a good deal. You treat us right, we'll treat you right. But a lot of you are not deserving of respect. A lot of you are not deserving of kindness. And I mean, even when women create their own killers, I notice the ages are getting younger. So this is a culture. This is what's being promoted in these schools. We already know about the discrimination about boys don't hit girls, but it's okay for a girl to hit a boy. And if a girl hits a boy, hits a guy, hits a man, a guy must have said something or must have did something to offend her. That kind of discrimination is getting out of control. And I noticed that the ages of just everything, just from race wars to the gender war, I mean the ages of these incidences are getting younger. These kids, these young men and women are getting younger and younger, and they're having problems like this. And it's disturbing that she knew what to do, that she knew how to just lie on an innocent man, an innocent young man who's been nothing but kind and sweet to her, and destroy his life and get a big power trip over it because she's on her pedestal. And this is what happens when you don't hold women accountable. This is what happens when you don't convict these women who make false rape accusations. Because when the younger women see it, they think it's okay. They think it's okay to lie. See, when you don't hold a woman accountable, the younger girls who look up to that woman, the older woman, they will think it's okay to lie. They will think it's okay to gold dig. They will think it's okay to create their own fucking killer. And that's what I'm here fighting. I mean, it's up to us. Men have to make the change. Women are not going to change. They're not going to change. It's up to the men to make the change. See, and the thing is, truth of the matter is, the women don't want things to change. They want to stay on top. They want to stay on their pedestal. They want to do whatever they want to do without no consequences. Well, guess what? Guess what, bitches? That time is over. Because no justice, no peace. And that's all I got to say on this video. Women ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. To all you younger guys who are still in high school, middle school, and high school, learn from this. Just focus on handling your business. No, you got to fight for your rights. You got to learn your laws. Stop focusing on sports and girls. Stop focusing on those things. I'm not saying you can play those things for fun, but you got to learn the system. You got to learn the legal system. You got to know that you as a man, you are a threat to the global elite. That's why they're targeting us, especially if you're a man of this shade. You are a target, and you need to know. And you need to know how to combat it. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. No justice, no peace.